Discipline is greater than motivation, and if you don't understand this, you will forever be controlled by your emotions like a puppet. Motivation is cheap. It's that temporary spark you feel when you watch a video, hear a quote, or get hyped for a few minutes. But what happens when you wake up at 5 a.m.? Your body hurts, your mind screams for rest, and there's no hype, no music, no cheerleaders. That's when most people break. They quit because their lives are built on motivation instead of discipline. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired, angry, bored, or uninspired. Discipline simply demands action, and the man who lives by discipline will always dominate the man who lives by feelings. When you rely on motivation, you live a fragile life, always waiting for the right mood, the right moment, the right push. But life doesn't give you perfect moments. Life is war, and wars are won by those who march, even when their legs shake. Think about it. If every successful man only worked when they were motivated, there would be no champions at all. The difference between those who dream and those who conquer is that one group waits to feel ready, while the other acts no matter what. That's discipline. You must train your mind to do what is necessary regardless of desire. Discipline is brushing your teeth even when you're exhausted, showing up at the gym when your muscles are sore, reading the book when your head wants the phone. Discipline is the refusal to negotiate with weakness. Every time you give in to laziness, you reinforce the chains holding you back. Every time you execute, even when you don't want to, you're sharpening a blade inside you that makes you dangerous, unstoppable, and respected. People confuse freedom with comfort. They think doing whatever they want is freedom. It isn't. That's slavery to impulses. Real freedom is being in control of yourself. Real freedom is having the discipline to say no to distractions, to stick to your vision when the world tries to pull you off track. Motivation won't give you that level of control. It'll abandon you when life gets hard. Discipline, on the other hand, is loyal. It's the strongest ally you can ever build because it stands with you on your worst days and forces you to move forward. Look at the man who relies on motivation. He works in bursts. He starts projects and abandons them. He talks big but delivers nothing. Now look at the man of discipline. His actions are steady. His progress is consistent. His results are inevitable. He might not be the loudest, but he's always climbing, always building, always moving. Over time, the disciplined man becomes unstoppable because his habits compound into power, wealth, strength, and respect. Life is not going to wait for you to feel like it. Success doesn't knock politely at your door. It hides behind the hours, the grind, the relentless days when you keep going without applause. If you understand this, you'll realize discipline is not a burden but a weapon. It is the great equalizer. It makes the average man superior to the gifted man who lacks consistency. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you moving when every excuse tells you to quit. That is why the man who builds his life on unbreakable discipline will always rise above the one who waits to feel ready. Self-control is the foundation of true power. A man who cannot control himself will never control his destiny. You see people all around you who are slaves to their habits, slaves to junk food, to scrolling on their phones, to chasing temporary pleasures, to reacting emotionally every time something doesn't go their way. These men think they're free, but in reality, they are prisoners. Their impulses run their lives, and because of that, they will never rise above average. Power doesn't belong to the man who follows his desires. It belongs to the man who commands them. Self-control is the ability to look temptation in the eye and say no. It's the strength to resist comfort when you know comfort will destroy you. Everyone wants success, but not everyone is willing to cut out the poison that weakens them. You can't talk about being great while living like a weakling. You can't demand respect from the world when you can't even respect yourself enough to control what you put into your body, what you feed your mind, and how you spend your time. The man who masters himself is untouchable because there's no chain the world can put on him that's stronger than the discipline he's built inside. Think about anger. Most people explode at the slightest insult, throwing away their dignity just to prove a point. That's weakness. Self-control means staying calm, not because you're afraid, but because you know your emotions are tools to be used strategically, not cages to be trapped inside. Imagine the power of a man who doesn't flinch when provoked, who doesn't waste his energy on useless battles, who knows exactly when to strike and when to walk away. That man holds real power because he controls the battlefield instead of being controlled by it. The same applies to your time. Time is the currency of life, and the undisciplined man spends it like a fool. He scrolls for hours, watches nonsense, wastes his days, and then wonders why his dreams never become reality. Self-control is the discipline to say no to distraction and yes to focus. When you control your time, you control your future. The world bends to the man who is consistent, and consistency is only possible through self-control. Even success becomes dangerous without control. Many people achieve a little progress, then they celebrate too early, get lazy, and slide back into mediocrity. Discipline is what prevents you from being blinded by short-term wins. Self-control means keeping your eyes on the long game, sacrificing small pleasures for big victories, and refusing to let comfort dilute your hunger. The truth is simply, if you cannot control yourself, someone else will control you. If you don't master your impulses, society, addictions, or weaker men will. But when you dominate yourself, your habits, your emotions, your time, you become a force nobody can stop. The world respects the man who owns himself because he cannot be bought, distracted, or broken. This is why self-control builds power. It is the silent strength behind every empire, every victory, every legacy. Without it, you're a leaf blown around by the wind. With it, you're the storm that shapes the world. Consistency is the weapon that beats talent every single time. The world is full of people with natural gifts, stronger, faster, smarter, more talented than you. But most of them waste it because they can't stay consistent. They shine for a moment, then disappear when life gets hard. Talent may give you an advantage in the beginning, but discipline and consistency decide who's still standing at the finish line. The man who shows up daily without excuses will always destroy the man who only shows up when he feels like it. Consistency is boring. That's why most people fail. They want excitement, quick results, instant gratification. They start a diet and quit after 2 weeks because the mirror hasn't transformed yet. They start a business and give up after one failure because success didn't arrive overnight. They go to the gym for a month, then disappear because discipline doesn't feel glamorous. But here's the truth: consistency is the slow grind, the repetition, the day after day commitment that compounds into something unstoppable. If you can embrace the boredom of consistency, you will become untouchable. Think about it: one workout doesn't make you strong. One clean meal doesn't build your physique. One day of discipline doesn't change your life. But string those days together, day after day, month after month, and suddenly you transform into someone the old you wouldn't even recognize. Consistency is like stacking bricks. Alone, each brick looks small, but over time, the wall becomes unbreakable. Most men never build that wall because they keep stopping and starting, tearing it down before it's complete. The man who is consistent doesn't care about being motivated. He doesn't chase feelings, he chases results. He knows that progress is hidden in the days that feel pointless, the workouts that feel heavy, the mornings when no one is watching. When you show up every day, you send a message to yourself: I am dependable, I am relentless, I am not like everyone else. That message builds confidence, and confidence builds success. Consistency also breaks down your competition. While they're busy taking days off, making excuses, waiting for the perfect time, you're moving forward inch by inch. Over weeks and years, those inches turn into miles, and suddenly you're ahead of everyone. It's not because you were the most talented, it's because you refused to quit. You chose to show up when others stayed in bed. You chose to keep building when others got distracted. You chose to be consistent when others gave up. And here's the real power: consistency creates momentum. The first steps are always the hardest, but once you've built the habit, you become unstoppable. Your body adapts, your mind sharpens, your discipline strengthens. You become addicted to progress, and when you reach that point, the game is over, because nothing and no one can stop a man who has momentum on his side. Consistency beats talent because talent is useless without effort. The graveyards are full of talented men who wasted their potential. But the disciplined man, the consistent man, the one who refuses to stop, he's the one who wins every single time. Discipline creates freedom, and most people are too blind to see it. They think freedom means doing whatever they want, whenever they want. They believe freedom is sleeping in, eating junk, skipping the hard work, chasing pleasure without responsibility. But that's not freedom. That's slavery disguised as comfort. When you live like that, you are chained by your own laziness, trapped by your own impulses, and controlled by forces stronger than you. True freedom comes from discipline, because when you control yourself, nothing else can control you. Look at the man who claims he's free because he doesn't follow rules. He stays up all night, he eats whatever he craves, he spends money recklessly, he wastes hours scrolling. On the surface, he looks like he's living without limits, but in reality, he's trapped. His health is broken, his energy is gone, his finances are a mess, and his life is spinning out of control. That's not freedom. That's weakness pretending to be independence. Now look at the man of discipline. He wakes up early, not because someone forces him, but because he commands himself. He eats clean not because he has to, but because he chooses strength over weakness. He grinds day after day, building wealth, health, and respect. That man has true freedom because he has options. He can travel, he can rest without guilt, he can walk into any room with confidence, he can face challenges without fear. Discipline gave him that power. Freedom is not about avoiding responsibility, it's about creating control. When you're disciplined with your time, you're free to chase goals without distraction. When you're disciplined with your body, you're free from sickness and weakness. When you're disciplined with your money, you're free from debt and stress. Every sacrifice you make today gives you more freedom tomorrow. Every act of discipline removes one more chain from your life. People don't understand this because they live only in the moment. They want comfort now, so they sacrifice the future. But the man of discipline sacrifices now so he can dominate the future. Which one do you think wins in the long run? The man who chooses sleep over opportunity, or the man who chooses sacrifice over comfort? The truth is brutal but simple. The disciplined man enjoys more freedom in the end, while the undisciplined man becomes a prisoner of his own choices. Even success itself demands discipline, because out of freedom turns to destruction. Many men rise quickly, make money, get respect, and then lose it all because they couldn't control themselves. They thought freedom meant recklessness, so they burned it all down. Real freedom is sustainable only when you have the discipline to protect it. Understand this. Every time you choose discipline, you buy yourself freedom. Every workout buys you health freedom. Every hour of focused work buys you financial freedom. Every moment you resist temptation buys you freedom from regret. Discipline is the price, but freedom is the reward. And once you've tasted the freedom that comes from mastery over yourself, you'll never envy the lazy man again. That's why the weak may laugh at discipline, but the strong know it's the only path. Discipline creates freedom, and freedom is the highest form of power. Sacrifice now, reward later. That's the law of life that most people refuse to accept. Everybody wants success, luxury, respect, and freedom, but very few are willing to pay the price up front. They want the rewards without the suffering, the victory without the battle, the crown without the blood. But life doesn't work that way. Life demands sacrifice. The pain you avoid today will turn to regret tomorrow, and the discipline you embrace today will turn into freedom tomorrow. Every choice you make is either a deposit for your future or a debt you'll be forced to pay back in misery. Sacrifice means cutting out the things that weaken you, even when they feel good in the moment. It's saying no to the party when you should be working. It's choosing the gym instead of the couch. It's putting money into investments instead of blowing it on worthless pleasures. Sacrifice is painful because it demands you go against the impulses that scream for comfort. But that pain is temporary. The reward is permanent. Every champion, every winner, every man who's respected understood this truth. Short-term sacrifice is the ticket to long-term dominance. The undisciplined man lives for now. He eats whatever he wants, spends whatever he earns, wastes his time chasing fun instead of purpose. He looks happy in the moment, but life will crush him later. His body will break down, his wallet will run dry, his opportunities will vanish, and he'll sit there blaming the world for problems he created by refusing to sacrifice. His life will be filled with regret because he chose comfort when he should have chosen discipline. The disciplined man suffers early so he can enjoy later. He understands that every rep in the gym, every hour of focus, every temptation resisted, every dollar saved is an investment that compounds. While others are laughing and playing, he's building. While others are distracted, he's sharpening. While others are chasing pleasure, he's embracing pain. Then when the future arrives, he's the one with the body, the money, the power, and the respect. That's the reward of sacrifice. Sacrifice is not punishment, it's transformation. It's the fire that burns away weakness and leaves only strength. It's the price you pay to become someone worth remembering. And here's the truth, whether you sacrifice or not, life will make you pay. You either suffer the pain of discipline now or the pain of regret later. One pain makes you stronger. The beautiful part is that the man who sacrifices long enough starts to see the reward before anyone else. He feels his body grow stronger, his confidence rise, his mind sharpen. He sees the respect in people's eyes. He sees opportunities opening because he stayed consistent when others gave up. That's when sacrifice stops feeling like loss and starts feeling like power. Understand this, the world owes you nothing. Success is not given, it is earned through sacrifice. You must pay with sweat, with discipline, with focus, with years of relentless effort. Only then do you collect the reward, freedom, wealth, strength, respect, and the ability to live life on your own terms. Sacrifice now, reward later. It's the simplest formula in the world, but it's also the rarest. Most people don't have the guts to endure the sacrifice, which is why most people will never taste the reward. But if you do, if you embrace it fully, you'll live a life others can only dream about. Discipline builds identity, and this is the part most people never understand. Every action you take, every decision you make, every sacrifice you choose or avoid is shaping who you are becoming. Identity is not something you are born with, it is something you forge, and discipline is the hammer and fire that forges it. Weak men are not born weak, they become weak through a lifetime of giving into laziness, fear, and excuses. Strong men are not born strong, they are built through years of forcing themselves to do what others avoid. Discipline is the architect of character, and without it you will never know who you truly are. When you wake up early and push yourself to work, you're telling yourself, I am the type of person who executes. When you hit the gym even on days you don't feel like it, you're telling yourself, I am the type of person who doesn't negotiate with weakness. When you resist distractions, invest your time wisely, and choose growth over comfort, you're writing a story about yourself that becomes permanent. You're building an identity that no one can take away. The opposite is also true. Every time you snooze that alarm, you're telling yourself you're weak. Every time you skip the work, you're confirming that excuses own you. Every time you indulge in comfort over discipline, you're programming your identity to be mediocre. And identity is powerful. It dictates your behavior automatically. A man who identifies as lazy doesn't even try because he's convinced himself that's who he is. A man who identifies as disciplined doesn't question his grind because it's part of his nature. That's why discipline is more than action, it's self-creation. Your identity is your compass in life. When you build an identity rooted in discipline, you don't need external motivation anymore. You don't need people to clap for you. You don't need permission. You operate on autopilot because discipline has become who you are, not just what you do. And once your identity is locked in, your results become inevitable. You cannot escape who you are. A disciplined man will always rise because his daily actions demand success. Discipline also gives you something even greater, self-respect. You can lie to the world, but you cannot lie to yourself. Deep down, you know if you're weak. You know if you're cheating yourself, and that lack of self-respect eats men alive. They look confident on the outside, but feel empty inside. The disciplined man, however, sleeps peacefully because he knows he showed up, he fought, he gave his best. That inner respect is priceless, and it radiates outward. People can sense when you're real, when your identity is forged in fire, not fake words. And here's the truth in a world full of pretenders. Identity built on discipline makes you stand out like steel among glass. People will follow you, respect you, and fear you, not because of what you say, but because of what you are. Your presence will speak louder than your voice. That is the power of unbreakable discipline. It transforms you from an ordinary man into a force of nature. Understand this clearly, the man you are today is the result of yesterday's discipline or lack of it. The man you will be tomorrow depends on the discipline you choose right now. Every action is a brick, and those bricks build your identity. Build carelessly and you become fragile. Build with discipline and you become unshackable. Discipline builds identity, and identity determines destiny. That's why discipline is not optional. It's the essence of who you become. If you want to be strong, respected, unstoppable, then you must choose discipline every single day until it is carved into your soul.